So as you're beginning to learn more about using your calendar, I want to point out a couple of areas. Sometimes when you read it on the page, it doesn't relate as easily when you can see it. So I would like to show you where things are located. Over here, you have your full calendar. You can use these little arrows right here to go forward or backward to jump to a particular date. This is where you would add a calendar. If somebody gives you an actual address that you want to add a calendar, this is where you would do it. Down here you can see I have multiple calendars, and each of these, one is created every time I create a new class. So you will have one for this class on this left side. I've also linked my work calendar with my NEITE calendar, so both of those are available. And then I have some other calendars, and these are various practice ones from previous students. So yours is going to show up there for me later. Over here, you can see that this is all grayed out because this is a past time, September, October 2018. So when you're seeing everything sort of faded away, they're not bright, it's because it's in the past. So the easiest way to fix that is, of course, to hit the Today button, and that brings you back into today. Now, you can see I have different colors because I've chosen to color code each of my calendars to make it easier for me to see it. Like everything in Google, you look for the 3 dots. That's your options. So if I click on the 3-dot option, this gives me all the different colors I can choose. This also allows me to display only this calendar. If I do that, it hides everything else. And then here are settings and sharing. This is where you do all of the specifics for your calendar. So this is where you can set your time zone, give it a description if you need to, and it also gives you the permissions. Is it available to the public, or is it available just within the organization? And then this is where you would add people to share your calendar. So when I ask you to share your calendar, or someone asks you to share your calendar with them, this gives them the right to do the things that it has here in the drop-down. Either see only the free or busy, see all events, make changes, or make changes and manage sharing. If the person is not within your organization, you notice these 3 are grayed out. That's because this person, my other personal email, is not in the same organization. Okay, and this gives you more information if you want more information about that. This is the default notification here. So if you want to set it up that it always is going to notify you 30 minutes ahead, you can do that. You can add multiple notifications. That doesn't mean you can't delete them. Every time you create an event, you can delete them as well. But I happen to actually need mine to say 30 minutes, so I'm going to change it to 30 minutes. You can give a notification if you've made it an all-day notification. And then here are your general notifications. What do you want to have happen? Do you want a daily agenda sent, and so forth? Now, when you're looking to embed the calendar, let's say you want to embed it into your website. This is where you would find that. Here's that embed code. Sometimes you'll see that as edit the HTML on your website. If you're that advanced and you need to use it, this is where you find that code. And this is the public URL, Uniform Resource Locator. So if I were to highlight this, I could then go up to my web browser, open a new web page, and paste this in, and that would open the calendar for me. Okay, there's also options to do it in iCal and to delete this calendar completely. Okay, and you can jump to these individually by doing it from this side here. You don't have to do the scroll. Okay. So the next thing I want to just share with you briefly, anytime you want to create anything, you can just click on it and it pops it up. By default, it's an hour, but you can always come in here and edit directly from in here. Even though it only gives you the half-hour increments, you can come in here and you can type in the actual times that you want. Let's say I want this to be 6 o'clock instead of 6:15. I can just... Now what happened was it said 5 a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m., but I don't want p.m., so I literally drop my cursor in, backspace, and change it to a.m. You can add the title. Okay. And here is where I can add what calendar I want it on. So my default calendar is the email address that I'm using. In this case, it's NEITE, so it defaults to that. But I can use this little arrow here, and I can choose any of the calendars I want to put it on. So when I talk about sharing a calendar with my dad, I can then come down, choose my dad if I'm in my personal account, and then it goes on to his calendar, but I can still see it. You have more options here. This is where you can add a location, which will work with Google Maps, and then it will help you find that location. You can put yourself as busy, default visibility, public or private, add your notes, add links. So if there's a document that you want to use for that particular event, you can link it right through this calendar event. And this is where you add your guests. So if I wanted to add a guest, let's say I'm going to type in here, I'd like to add Catherine Ring, because she's in my contact list, I can just click on her name and add her in. And then I can give them the ability to just invite other people, just see who's been invited, or to modify the event. And by unchecking them, that would change their ability to do things. And I would click Save, and now it shows on my calendar. There's two other things I want you to see from Calendar. In the calendar view, over to the right side, I talk about Google Keep and Google Tasks. So if I click on either one of these, it pops open my Keep. In my Keep, I can have my pictures, I can add things, I can take another note, and then this little box lets me pop it out so that I can see my whole Keep in a separate window. This is really helpful if you want to just have a quick reminder of things, but then be able to go out and work on Keep from there. Likewise, when I'm done with Keep, I just close it with this X here. And here are my tasks. So in my tasks, once I type in a task, and I want to edit it further, it's great if I just want to make a list, but here's the magic. You can add a date. So now when I scheduled this task, and I scheduled it for, let's say I moved it back over to today. So here I've put today, but it's not showing up. The reason for that is if you look over on this left side, and you may bump into the same problem and wonder why it's not showing up, I have to be sure to turn tasks on. So when I turned off the other calendars, it turned it off. So now when I add it back in, here you see add a document to my list of things to do, matches the task. Then you can mark it as complete from here, or you can click this box and that will make it complete and show as done here. That's basic things to do with Calendar. I know you may have a few other questions. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask.